Well, I want to welcome everybody to our fiscal year 23 annual meeting. Thanks for hanging out and eating the ice cream and staying for the meeting. I'm John Call. I'm the Vice Chair of the Board of Directors, and I'm filling in for Pauline Butler, our Chairperson, who had to be out on the West Coast today. And on behalf of the board, I want to congratulate all of the Golden Onion winners. I know most of them have all escaped, but some really great content there. Some really great members, some really great contributions, and that's important to DCAT. So 2023 was actually a very good year. Obviously 20 and 21 were terrible because of the pandemic and COVID-19, but DCAT kept it together through all of that. They basically stayed open. We stayed on the air. We didn't go dark. So that's a great tribute to the staff. But since then, last year, we started to come back from that, and I feel comfortable saying that this year we are all the way back. We provided more services to the town this year than we ever have, to our members, and in turn, to the citizens of Danvers. And because of our YouTube channel, actually people throughout the North Shore and beyond. I know I watch all of our meetings on YouTube because I don't need to watch them at 7 o'clock on the night that they're running. This year we had more editing hours than the previous two, more studio hours, and a lot more first-run programming for public TV. I'm sure Greg will break it all down for you in the annual report when he goes through that, but I'll give you a little a secret surprise. We had over 1,000 first-run shows this year. That's like 20 a week. That's just great. It really, really is great. And Greg was talking earlier today about some of the community organizations in town, and he stole my line. I've been saying for as long as I've been standing up here that DCAT is the hidden gem of Danvers, because it really, really is. But the other hidden gem are all of the community groups in Danvers. This town has so many great community groups. In fact, over 70 of them utilize DCAT services one way or another. That's phenomenal. Exactly. So DCAT, hidden jewel of the town. Let's not keep it that way. Let's take that candle out from under the bucket and let everybody know. And Gayla's got a great program going on with our Hidden Onion. And let's hope more and more people find out about DCAT through that, which is wonderful. Thank you, Gayla. All of it really is a credit. Everything that I just mentioned is a credit to our truly dedicated and talented staff. We have some of the best people in the business. I don't know what ABC and NBC and CBS do for their people, but I know that we have great people. We really do. And we had a little bit of positive, I call it positive turnover this year, because they left for bigger and better jobs, which is always good. So if somebody starts here, gains their training, gains their vision, and then moves on to something better, we're happy for them. And that happened a lot this year, or a couple of times. But DCAT didn't miss a beat, because Greg has put great people in place, both in the primary position and in backup positions, that we just move somebody new in and get somebody else for the backup, and we never miss a beat. So Greg, thank you very much for all of that. And to our great staff, thanks. We only have 2 other people in the room here, but thanks for doing what you do.
They're all working.
Yeah, that's right. All in the classroom. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And our volunteers too. Yeah, we had a great year with volunteers. I don't know how many Greg will probably talk to us about it, but we have a lot more volunteers this year than we've ever had, and they're doing great things for us. So we have great staff, we have great members, we have great volunteers, and I would be remiss to say, I know I'm a little bit prejudiced, but we have a great board of directors. These people are so fun. Yeah, please give them a round of applause. They're great to work with. This year we've had most of our meetings on Zoom, but everybody's polite, everybody listens, everybody hears things through, we talk things through rationally, we make good decisions, and they are truly a pleasure to be on the board with. I've been on the board a long time, and I love these people, so thanks, guys. All right, with that, my time is done. I'm going to bring up Dick Drew, who is our treasurer, and he will walk you through our financial report for this year, and then I'll come back.
Okay,
I'm not used to the format that was used here before, but this is my first year as treasurer. Been on the board for several years, but this is the first year as treasurer. So again, you can definitely see the progression of how things have gotten better over the last year and a half since the COVID has died down. It's not gone, unfortunately. My wife works in healthcare. So she sees it all the time. But definitely see the progression. We actually, at the end of this year, we actually turned a small profit, which was like $78,000, which is exceptional for a nonprofit. But again, all but $8,000 of that is going right back into programming. There are some other expenses that have gone up. Health insurance is one thing that always goes up, unfortunately. And great donors. You got Verizon and Comcast who contribute a lot, plus the other donors. And you can't help but thank the volunteers who help, because if they weren't there, we'd have to have other people here that we'd have to pay, which makes all the difference in the world for a nonprofit, is all the contributions. I could go through a lot of this if you want me to. Of course, like every corporation or company, the biggest expense is always payroll. But that's actually been lower this year because Greg has been very diligent in his replacement, and also if he didn't need to fill a position right away, he waited. So that again saves DCAT some good money that way. But again, as I said, health insurance always goes up. And you got, unfortunately, when you rent a facility, that goes up. But again, with all those things, we're still positive and going in the right direction, and being able to fund all the programs, especially for the kids, which is, I think, paramount, very good for help everybody. Progressive. I love seeing the kids here. I meet Greg once a month, and it's usually when something's going on in one of the rooms with the kids. So it's not quiet, but it's enjoyable. Kids learning is nothing better than that. So, unless anybody has any questions, as I said, I really don't have a lot to say outside of the fact that we're doing very good and everything is positive. Okay. That's even better.
Very good. Thanks, sir. Yeah, we managed to run a tight ship, and we put the pressure on Greg to run the tight ship. We will not approve a budget that is a losing budget. We as a board just don't believe in that. We have a pretty good idea of what income is coming in, and we got to live with it. Unlike the federal government, we don't believe in spending and figuring it out later. So, and Greg does a very good job at that, as Dick just alluded to. So now I want to bring up Sandy. She's going to make a motion for our nominating committee, and come on up.
Good evening. This is the nominating committee report. We have two functions that we have in our bylaws here that this committee has to adhere to. The nominating committee shall nominate any and all candidates for election as directors and officers. And Article 4, Section 2, refers to numbers and elections of the people appointed to the office. And one of the articles is that the number of directors shall not exceed 9 board members. And so we have to stick to that, and we have. So by the way, I'm Sandy Lane. I'm one of these people on the committee. We, the nominating committee, consisting of Zoranzello, and that would be Deb. We are the crew that picked the nominees for this year. And Richard Drew, our treasurer, and myself as chair. We do hereby nominate for re-election to the following directors for a 3-year term to begin in October 1st of 2023 and run through September 30th of 2026. The committee members were Geraldine Nestorello, John Call, and Scott Clem. The above trustees, together with the 6 trustees that are not up for re-election this year, would compromise your 9-member board. Those members would be Ken, Cora, Pauline Butler, and myself. Our terms will expire in 2024. We have Richard Drew, Dick Moody, and Deb Zorzanello, whose terms will expire in 25. This is our suggestions, this is the nominations, and this was all done by the nominating committee on the 28th day of September 2023. Do we have any questions or anything?
Great, thank you,
Nope.
Sandy.
Okay.
No, stay
all
right here.
set.
So, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Thank you. So we have a motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the slate as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you,
Was
Sandy.
that an opposed?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't want to be here. Great, thank you. Okay, to the last point of business for this meeting, I'll bring Greg back up. He did a great job on the awards, and now he will give his year in review report and go into all those great details about all the great things that get done. Greg.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So this is our annual report for fiscal year 2023. So our year is July 1st to June 30th of any given year. So we wrapped our year June 30th, 2023, which has given us enough time to pull all these numbers and things together. But I always like to start with the most basic thing, right? Who is DCAT and why are we here? So DCAT is a 501c3 organization that provides PEG access services. That means public, education, and government services for the town of Danvers. We have a 9-member board of directors. Sandy just went through all of them. Thank you. So I won't rename them, but I do want to reiterate that this is a great board, and I do appreciate your support in working with you. John, you alluded to the fact that the meetings are polite and well run and all that, but I think you bury the lead a little bit, which is the board isn't a monolithic entity. There's really healthy discussion, and I think that's healthy for the organization. This isn't the rubber stamp board, which is good. That's how it should be, and I do appreciate that. When I come with ideas, I like that I get feedback and I don't just get a sure. You know, it's not always the case with nonprofit boards, so thank you for that. We have 5, Jack, you can go back a little bit, please. We have 5 full-time staff members, so you can see that's myself, Executive Director, Ginny Ahern, Manager of Operations and Staff, Ben, who's the Education Coordinator, who is currently filming down the street, Owen, who is the Government Coordinator, who is currently filming down the street, I don't see him, and then Jack Sapino, who is currently filming about 5 feet away over there, waving his arms through the window. So I want to commend everyone. This is the awards night and the annual meeting is a big night for us, but it's also, it doesn't stop the work from coming. So I appreciate everyone today who's been running around. Owen, I don't think he's here, but particularly has been running back and forth through town in his, I think, 2nd full week of work, troubleshooting and making all these things go. We also have a number of videographers and a very important person in the middle, which is Gayla Bartlett, our underwriting coordinator, who helps spread the word of DCAT, and as John said, takes the bucket off the candle. So Gayla, thank you for everything you do. So how are we funded? We're a little different than a lot of nonprofits where 95% of our funding roughly comes from Verizon and Comcast. So the way that works is Verizon and Comcast sign license agreements with the town of Danvers to provide cable services in town. So in order to make the millions of dollars they make, they need to use public rights of way, run wires, do all these things. And in order to do so, they sign an agreement with the town that says, sure, you can do that, but in exchange, you have to kick back, in our case, 4% of your gross annual revenue back for public education and government services, which is great. It's a great funding model. There's Owen. However, the issue with it is it's specifically cable, right? So we don't get it. When you get your Verizon bill, or a Comcast bill, that's not internet, that's not any of those other things, it's just cable. Where if you're familiar with the term cord cutting, that means a lot of people are no longer getting cable. So the cable subscribership numbers are going down. Thankfully, the revenue has not gone down, because if you do have cable, you'll see your bill is going up. So long term, we're aware of that situation, and we keep that in mind when we do our budgeting and sort of handle our fiscal policy, that our plan is to level fund services for the town and to make sure that we're doing this in a sustainable way, regardless of the fact that the overall funding picture isn't the prettiest at the moment. There are some possibilities. If you ever talk to your state senator or state rep, there's a bill right now that would enact the same sort of fee that the cable providers get on the larger streaming corporations such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, those kinds of things. And now the idea would be to continue to fund community media. So if you happen to run into Sally or Joan Lovely, please tell them that you love DCAT and that that bill is something you support. All right, so moving on, this is just a quick look at our org chart. So you can see the board of directors, myself, the executive director, Jenny, who's the ops manager, Gayla, underwriting coordinator, Jack, access coordinator. The government coordinator is Owen, who I just saw walk in. Education coordinator is Ben, who is still filming, and then we have a number of videographers. The thing I want to point out about this isn't always what the org chart looked like as recently as 2 years ago. So we were lucky, and we have some thanks to give also to the cable committee in town for helping negotiate a better deal with Comcast and Verizon the last 2 cycles, where instead of getting 3% of gross annual revenue, we're now getting 4%, which allows us to have a position for public, education, and government. Those education and government positions used to be one job, and that was one big, difficult job for one person to do, and that was Ben. So thank you, Ben. All right, we can jump to the next slide. All right, so programming. What do we actually make? What do we do? So public education and government, you can see the number of hours we did. The majority of it is public. That would consist of things made in the studio as well as some things made out of house that come in from other places that people sponsor to play here. There is the education, which is student productions like you saw earlier if you're at the awards, as well as school productions, school committee meetings, things like that. Concerts, all those kinds of things. And government is the meetings, obviously. You know, we do quite a number of meetings. At this point, we're probably doing around 3 a week. And then we also do government events. If there's festivals, like there was a Latinx festival this weekend, we were there. Basically anything that happens on the government side, we try to cover as well. And the thing I wanted to note is that is an increase of 754 hours from fiscal year 22. That is in large part because this is our first full year with that new org chart in that position in place. So that's given us capacity everywhere to kind of pick up the slack. You would think that we would all feel our workload lighten, but somehow it feels like we're still at capacity, but that's okay. That's a testament to the staff. All right, we can jump on ahead. So community impact, we televised 113 meetings, most of them live. So we also worked on building out the hybrid meeting capabilities at the Toomey Room and Senior Center. A hybrid meeting is a meeting where you can either participate by being in the room, or you can just jump on Teams from home and you can join, raise your hand, talk, participate in the meeting. I think that's been a great change for Danvers. It makes town government more accessible. There's members of committees who don't go to the meetings generally. Accessibility is a great example. There are members of that committee who have mobility issues, who cannot physically always get there, but they're able to jump in remotely and contribute their talents, which is really great. Some of the stuff that's not glamorous but that's important, we connected the fiber optic cables from the Toomey Room and the Senior Center. That makes the meetings much more reliable on cable. We're not at the mercy of the internet. And then we upgraded our broadcast server. The broadcast server is the heart and soul of the whole organization. Every show sits on this one little box, and that's what pumps out to all the channels. So if things are working, that means that the upgrade worked. If you turn on the channel and you see a channel, we did something right. The other one I want to mention too is we recorded and broadcast 99 games. Next year, we'll hope that at least one more team gets a playoff game and we can hit 100. All right, so community impact continued. John, you mentioned this, so I'll breeze through pretty quick. 72 community groups used our services. That can range for anything from just bulletins on the bulletin board, promoting events, things like that, but also making shows. I see us as a capacity builder for nonprofits in the town. A lot of nonprofits don't have the money for a media department, so we were able to fill that gap and help spread the word. We had 6 students complete internships or summer work positions. So a summer work position is a grant-funded position. Danvers Cares has those, so the students are getting paid to be here. They're doing work. It's a first jobs program, but they're not being paid by us. They're being paid by the grant. It's a pretty good deal for everyone involved. You get some students who are getting like real life practical experience at in an office setting, technical setting, and they're getting paid, but it doesn't hurt our budget. We also had 82 students trained in video production. That's everything from free classes at the elementary schools all the way through weekly after-school programs, camps, things like that. And then 14 members of public who took formal workshops, I should say. Excuse me. So video on demand. This is the YouTube side of it. You can see when it really took off, which was 2020, which should surprise no one. So that we were chugging along, doing pretty well, improving, and then all of a sudden 2020 hits. No one can go anywhere and go to things. So that line shoots up and then sort of levels off. So my reading of this is a positive one in that we were able to make that jump and keep the increased views. What I didn't want to see and what I was nervous about seeing was this peaking in fiscal year 20, because that's when no one could go places. Everything was remote. You couldn't go to meetings. You had to tune in. We had some very, very, very strongly viewed meetings. Things like schools, whether or not they're going to open, town mask policies. You have 1,000 people on those. That really boosts your numbers a bit. And I was like, oh, are we going to see a real back the other way? But we've mostly kept level, which is it doesn't seem as exciting as the arrow just going up endlessly, but I don't think that's sustainable. And I think that this is a nice, new, healthy area that we find ourselves.
So even though the viewership, the views may be plateauing, the good news is the subscribers aren't. And that's what you want. More people realizing that these shows are available online and they can watch them when they want to.
And I've also noticed this is a little trend as we sort of spread the wealth more. We're really top heavy for a while. 2020, if you had a select board meeting about mask policy, that was going to be like half your views for the month, and now it's more spread out among other videos. And then Facebook, we have about 3,400 people as of today. They follow the page, so that's a really great spot that we're able to spread the word as well. Equivalent value of services is the next one. So we do not charge for using our services, but that is the going rate for some of these things. If you were to check out one of these really nice cameras for the day, you were to use a full studio like this, or you to rent a full editing facility, and that's just in terms of equipment and facility usage, that is the equivalent value. We do not charge for it, but it's just a good look for us to see what the equivalent value is. So moving on to the next one. This is exciting stuff coming soon. So we have some big stuff coming. I'm going to go slightly out of order. The new switcher and camera in the Elm Street studio. So those of you, Jim is very excited back there. We're getting a new switcher imminently. I just signed the agreement today. So that will be new graphics, new switcher. We're getting a new camera in here that's robotically controlled from the control room. The volunteers are the most excited about this. And that's going to be a really big change. We're going to be doing some training. It's really fun. It's graphics and everything's built into it. There's a lot of cool stuff we can do. That's sort of one of the big picture things. The other one, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, is the Verizon license, which is what funds us. The Verizon license is up in 2024, August 2024. So that process will be going on. Which one of the things I would imagine that we would be asking for would be a high definition channel. So right now, all of our channels are in standard def. That will be true for another. I got off the phone with the Comcast engineer at 4:30 today. About 2 months, we'll be looking at a new high definition channel coming in on Comcast and not Verizon yet. But in order to do that, we sort of have to shuffle some things. So you can see our current channel lineup. That broadcast server, that's what pumps everything out, and it goes 3 and 3. So right now you go public, education, government, public, education, government. Right across the board, same for both. It's mirrored, very even, pretty split. However, as part of the change, if you go to the next slide, we're not gaining an HD channel as much as we are trading a standard definition channel and getting an HD channel back, right? So we're keeping 3, we're not adding 1. Which then we have the question of, okay, what goes on the HD channel? Is it public? Is it education? Is it government? To which I said, yes, it is. So the new channel, we're going to be calling it the Local Origination Channel. For now, it'll have better branding than that. This is sort of the philosophical way to think about it. What that means really is it's a DCAT best of channel, right? So that's only things made in Danvers. So that is studio productions here, games here, meetings, and that channel is going to be packed 24/7 because we start doing the schedule You say, okay, Monday, we need a spot for live select board. Tuesday, we need a spot for live planning board. Thursday, we have live meetings. Friday, we have live football. We also have live shows that need to be fit in. We have all these things, and the calendar just slowly fills and fills and fills and fills. And it's a really exciting opportunity, I think, for people when they tune into that channel. That's what's happening in Danvers. So it's going to be a really great opportunity for people to tune in. I'm very excited about it. If you've ever sat in here and watched the studio show on the monitor and then watched it at home, it's two entirely different experiences, right? So it looks beautiful coming in here. It is beautiful all the way through, and then it hits some Comcast and Verizon equipment. And it's all right. It gets a little murky. So having that is going to be a really big change for us. Is really, really exciting. I think it's going to help boost our footprint in the town quite a bit, and I think hopefully it'll boost the interest. And I'm excited about it, and that's going to be coming really soon. So the education channel will be being returned to Comcast. So that is channel 8. So our channels on Comcast will be the new channel. We'll keep channel 22 as the government channel because that's what people have been watching for years. We had the public channel moved without our knowledge from channel 99 to channel 6 recently, which we figured out. That will stay on channel 6, so we don't have to move it again. So that'll stay where it is. And then Verizon, it's all going to be standard def, but that public and education is going to be the same thing. So that local origination channel you see on that right side, standard definition, the goal is going to be to make that a high definition channel, which if Verizon is willing to do it in their license agreement, we can do it from a technical perspective in a week. So we're going to make a pretty big push, I think, to get that done. And that is pretty exciting. So from there, I think my next slide just says questions. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions about what we do, anything I talked about, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you. Seeing none. I just want to, again, just extend my thanks to the board of directors, the staff, who are working hard all the time. It is not easy. The biggest change I've seen in 5 years here is the job for the coordinators is much more technically challenging than it used to be. Because once COVID hit and you started to pull in remote feeds and all these things, you don't just go over and turn everything on and hit record and go anymore. There's a lot of prep, and these people are very, very, very strong technical people, and that's what makes it all go. So thank you to them. And thank you to everyone else. And thanks for coming. Bye.
So I can speak to that personally because for the past 3.5 years, I'm on the technology ministry at St. Richard's. We started broadcasting our weekly masses really before COVID shut everything down, and it was with a camera on a tripod and no Wi-Fi in the church. So Greg was getting constant phone calls Sunday at our masses at 9 o'clock, and at 9:05 we don't have audio or something. So Greg's getting a phone call at home saying, "Greg, what do we do?" He's zipping over here. He lives 5 minutes away, and he's in the control room, and he's trying to figure things out so we can get it. It's broadcast live on DCAT at 9 o'clock. It's broadcast live on our Facebook page and on our website at 9 o'clock, and then we upload it to YouTube separately. But it's important. Everybody's, can comment and is like, "Hey, I got no audio," or "Hey, this is fuzzy," or "Hey, this isn't working." And so for probably 2 years, we've upgraded our system now. And we have 3 mounted cameras in the church, and it's very professional, and we're doing a great job with it. But for probably over 2 years, we continued to have those little buggy things happen at least twice a month where we had to call somebody in haste and say help. And they were always great doing that. So, yeah, thanks for that. Okay, I want to open this up to not just meetings about the report, but any meetings, any comments. Anybody wants to say anything, question us, whatever we can do to help? Anybody? Hearing none, can I have a motion to close the meeting? And a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thanks for coming. Have a great year. See you next year.
Yeah, trying. Trying.